What's up everybody, it's All Real here for Yu-Gi-Oh! 101 Tips video. In this video we're going to be talking about something super important that people to this day are still so confused about. And I'm going to be using Yu-Gi-Oh! Wikia to just help prove my point. Um, and this is why you don't question the, I guess you can say, the authority. I don't want to seem like, like one of those pro type people. But when an experienced player is letting you know, okay, these are the rules, and things have changed over time, since you may have last played the game, then you need to update yourself on what the new rules are. And the topic of this video, as you see in the title, is going to be talking about attack replays. Now, there's a lot of controversy when it comes to, you know, like when a monster is supposed to like replay an attack or what have you, you know. But the rules have changed, and like I said, I'm gonna use Yu-Gi-Oh Wikia to help prove my point. Now, I was just on, like Dueling Network a minute ago, and like they updated the cards on there, and I made my Burning Knuckler build on there. But lo and behold, I was going up against this guy, and he was using like some type of variation between like the Hazy Flames and uh, the Fire Kings. And I had two like glass jaws on my side of the field. And like the effect of glass jaw is that if it gets targeted by an attack, then it it gets destroyed and it goes to the graveyard, and then you'll be able to like search, you know well, not search, but you'll be able to add a um burning knuckler from your graveyard, like back to your hand. But that part of its effect is irrelevant. The main thing you have to focus on is the fact that when it gets attacked, it gets destroyed by its own effect. you know and that's going to be like the key thing here, so I want you to keep that in your mind. Now, he attacked one of my glass jars with, I think he had on his side of the field, I don't even remember what the other monster he had on the field was, but the first monster he had on the field was uh um Fire King High Avatar, um um Garunix. And after he had used the other monster to attack my first glass jaw, he had used his Fire King, to attack my second glass jaw. And my glass jaw, it had uh destroyed itself because of its effect, and he thought he was supposed to get an attack replay because of that. And I explained to him, they changed the rules. You cannot get an attack replay when a monster, is removed from the field, like by its own effect. They changed the rules. And here we go right here. And this is where Yu-Gi-Oh! Wikia ties in. The official rule book states, now this was the old rules, I should say. After you've announced your attacking monster and the attack target monster during the battle step, the attack target might be removed from the field, or a new monster may be placed on the opponent's side of the field before the damage step. Due to a card's effect, this causes a replay. When this occurs, you can choose to attack with the same monster again, or choose to attack with a different monster, or choose not to attack at all. Note that if you attack with a different monster, the first monster is still considered to have declared an attack, and it cannot attack again this turn. Now, this is the mind state he was in. He thought just because my glass jaw had uh, destroyed itself that he was supposed to get um, an attack replay. But you know, Now, mind you, under the old rulings, that like he would have been correct. My glass jar, it removed himself from the field when it got targeted for an attack, and the attacked targets had changed. Uh, you know, and like pretty much this is what his mind state was in. But as you can see right here, it states that the rules were updated, since May of 2006 to bring to the TCG into line with the OCG. So they brought the ruling over from the OCG into the TCG. Now, previously in the TCG, if a replay was triggered and the player that was attacking chooses not to have his monster attack, that monster could still declare an attack at another point in the battle phase. This is now no longer the case. If a monster chooses not to attack after a replay has been declared, that monster cannot attack for the rest of the battle phase. In addition, according to the OCG, if you attack with a different monster, the first monster cannot change to defense position during the main phase 2, since it's still considered to have declared an attack. The same also applies the same also applies monsters flip face down by cards like Book of Moon in the battle step in response to an attack declaration. That monster cannot be flip summoned in main phase 2 because it's still considered to have an attack. Now, note right here, now this is where the whole, like the whole moral of everything right here. These are what the rules change to. Note, a replay does not occur in the following situations. 1. The attack and defense of a monster on the field changes. 2. The battle position of a monster on the field changes. 3. And this is the case with me, a monster is summoned to or removed from the attacking player's side of the field. So many people on Dueling Network, on Yu-Gi-Oh, and some people they still try to do it on Yu-Gi-Oh Pro, even though it's automatic. System kind of prevents them from doing that. But on manual sites such as Dueling Network, people are so confused, and they need somebody to hold their hand, or they need some type of handicap to let them know what the rulings are because they don't understand them. And I've done my best as just a third party YouTube YouTuber to openly state the rules on things like this. And of course I don't really have like a big following, so of course not too many people seen the videos, but still it kind of hurts me to see this because something that everybody who's being involved in this game should do, they don't do it. They don't update themselves on the rulings. And let's say like they buy like an old um uh starter deck, um like the Kaiba, build from way back when off of eBay or something. It still has the old rulings in the rule book. So of course they're gonna follow that, like way before they follow, you know, what the updates were. So again, you gotta update yourself on these rulings. That way, you won't be going into these meaningless back and forth, thinking that you know what you don't know. And I'm not here trying to act like I know it all. I'm just an experienced player that wants to bring that knowledge that I have into the game. And so many times on sites like Dueling Network, you deal with people who are so headstrong and they feel like they know so much, and they don't understand the rulings. And when you try to explain them to them, like they try to argue with you, this, that, and the third. Like where does it say it? Then you finally show it to them, and they still so headstrong that they don't want to accept the fact that hey, you just proved them wrong. So you know, it's really only so much I can do as a person. If I'm telling you right, I'm telling you right. And this is pretty much it right here. You know, and from here on out, if anybody you have seen do this, or if you're on like a website or what have you, or if you're playing like at a local area with Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever, and people are confused about this or whatever, I mean, like I'm gonna have the link to this in the video description so you guys can see it. Um, there's some other stuff down here, such as like examples on like certain situations, you know, as well. But these three right here are basically like the main things that you need to pay attention to. Like this pretty much clears it up in the simplest way as to what the rules have changed to, you know, and when a replay does occur and not occur. You know, under normal, like, you know, like, like back in like '05, these rulings wouldn't be, in effect. But since May 2006, if the attack and defense switch, you know, on the field, a monster's attack and defense on the field changes, then a replay doesn't occur. If the battle position is changed, like with cards like Book of Moon or what have you, then you can't declare an attack replay with that same monster that declared an attack already. And again, with my situation, a monster that is summoned to or removed from the attacking player's side of the field. So if your opponent has a um a utopia on their side of the field, and that monster ends up being, like destroyed, because it doesn't have any exceed materials on it, then that doesn't mean that your monster that attacked it gets an attack replay. It attacked already. Utopia had destroyed itself from its own effect, so your attack went through, but then Utopia's effect took effect. You know, Utopia's effect came into play, and it destroyed itself with its own effect. So you don't get an attack replay with that. But again, I'm gonna have this link. I'm gonna have the link to this in the description, so you guys can have something, to again, like just uh, to show people, like without having to, wait, all through this video in order to get to this point. You can just show it to them, and it lets them know right then and there, hey, this is what the new rules are. Follow them. If you don't like it, then stop playing Yu-Gi-Oh. So with that being said, I'm gonna end the video here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope that you found it informative, and I'll see you guys for the next Yu-Gi-Oh! One-on-one video. Peace.